Abbott Elementary, Season 4, Episode 7. Volunteers is over, but class is here in session at the Abbott Elementary, a post show recap, formerly known as a post show recap, here on the Abbott Elementary Kickback. It's me, Chappell, and I'm back again with my lovely co host, the principal or the president, I don't know which one anymore, of this podcast to talk about an incredible episode of Abbott that many people have been waiting on. It's our crossover episode. Gia, what's up?
Hello, Chappell. I am so excited for this. I can't believe we're here. I can't believe it's already happened. There's just been so much build up to it. And it did not disappoint. I really enjoyed it. As somebody that is a little more of a casual It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia fan, it was great to see the crossover in real time. I have to say, I was worried when this was initially announced because, Chappell, as you could probably tell from this cameo, these are two very different shows with people on very different spectrums of moral alignment, I will say. Let's just call it that. But it was great to be back and see the It's Always Sunny cast because it's been a while since I've watched an It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode.
Yeah, so for the listeners who are not familiar with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, you're in for a treat because Gia has seen some of it, but I ain't seen none of it. So we're all in here to learn today, and we brought in some special guests from a podcast that I do adore, two people that could tell us a little bit about It's Always Sunny from the Crying Laughing podcast. First, I want to introduce Ariel, because y'all might have already heard him when I talking about Grey's Anatomy. Ariel, thank you. And his co-host, the lovely, the doctor, my favorite doctor of all time, honestly, top 5, dead or alive, Dr. Amanda. What's up?
Oh, hello. I'm so excited to be here on the recap kickback in this zany, crying, laughing recap kickback crossover. Can the wholesome, heartwarming recap kickback audience handle the gritty edge of crying, laughing? That is the question here. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, we heard you were looking for like volunteers of some kind. We're not really sure what we're here to do, but like I'm really happy to be here and help the children.
Yeah, for the listeners, this is court mandated. They had no choice but to be here. And so they will be with us for the duration of this episode while we talk about what the hell just happened. So, Gia, months ago, you and I were like, let's break the news. There's a crossover episode coming, and we were very excited, but I didn't know what to expect. And so, of course, we had to reach out to the Crying Laughing podcast to come and give us their insight. Gia, was it everything you thought it'd be and more?
Again, so listen, I might have been a little wrong here, okay? Because when it was announced that there was going to be a crossover, and we did not know yet it was Always Sunny in Philadelphia. A lot of people had guessed it, that was what the crossover was going to be, by virtue of they're both set in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is a pretty big character setting, like pretty big factor in the show. And I was like, it's not going to be It's Always Sunny, right? Like, there's no way. These are two very different shows with very different characters in it. I just don't know how they would make it work with the Abbott Elementary crew. And then they announced, oh, it is Always Sunny. I'm like, well, fuck me, I guess. I guess we're just finding out as we go. Like, I have faith in Quinta and Rob, okay? So I knew that, like, I had faith in them. I was just confused on how it was going to be. This episode was fantastic. I loved the interactions we got. And while I have not seen every season of It's Always Sunny, it felt very true to all of the characters. I do love Dennis, so I'm very sad that we didn't get more of Dennis, but I have heard a lot of people speculating that we are going to see more of Dennis in the It's Always Sunny episode. Like, he will be more of the focal point of that. And I know he also is recording another show, so I'm assuming part of the reason we did not see him was due to those scheduling conflicts. But other than that, it was fantastic. Charlie Kelly, you are a star. Just loved his interactions the most, but everybody was great.
Yeah, a lot of people anticipated that this was going to be the crossover, and a lot of people was me. I was on this immediately.
She really was. It was annoying.
I was out on those streets because there had been some social media exchanges between Quinta and Rob, and I live in Philadelphia, so like my spidey senses go off anytime anything Philadelphia related is happening.
Go Birds.
And go Birds. So I anticipated that this was going to be the crossover, and there has been a lot of speculation about how exactly they were going to do this. This is like a 2-part television event. So we know that the second part of the crossover is going to be the premiere of Always Sunny's season 17. I'm a huge Always Sunny in Philadelphia fan. I have seen every season. So season 17 is premiering this spring. This is going to be the first episode. And we do have confirmation. I think that this was an article that was in the EW that said that like the Sunny episode is going to be like the Sunny character's perspective on everything that happened during this episode. So we're going to get like the whole week between the times that they're at the school. I think this is where we're going to get a lot of the Dennis story behind the camera. And I agree, Gia. I love Glenn Howerton. I love Mia Dennis. It was probably smart for them to take like the sexual predator sociopath out of the main storyline that takes place in an elementary school. So I see the wisdom there, but I can't wait. I can't wait to see what all he has going on.
I just want to see Ava's reaction to the Dennis system, because I feel like if he was the vice president of the school for the week, that I genuinely think that like him and Ava could have had some evil schemes concocting by the end of it. Like Dennis is not writing thank you cards to anybody.
No. And it's funny that you mentioned that the cast is different, right? Like the Abbott Elementary is more wholesome. And then apparently, based on what I saw, this is a cast of criminals on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But I don't know, Ariel, you're familiar with both shows. I think there's a little bit of crossover in the cast, even because I don't think Melissa's not, completely out of place here on It's Always Sunny. And even with like Ava could get down with these people in a lot of ways we saw. So what did you think about the crossover?
I loved it. I mean, like, first of all, we used to build things in this country. We used to make things, and those things included crossovers. And like it is such like a forgotten art, and like that was part of the reason that I was so excited to like honor the crossover by doing our own version of the crossover, all of us. And like I was excited, I was nervous, like that nostalgia of like crossovers back in the day when you'd be like, what? Those shows? Do they take place in the same universe? That's crazy. So it was exciting. I was nervous, like some of you. I'm like, can they pull it off? I know they could, but will they? And it makes so much sense to your question, Chappell, that they would use the Miss Shamenti like angle. Like she spends basically every episode at least 30 seconds saying, I know someone who can do that thing. Like she knows everyone. She knows all the like the shady underbelly of Philadelphia. So it makes so much sense. She's like, I think I know you from somewhere, obviously playing on the like you're from a different show, but like no, I actually know you and your bootleg bar that is like horrible, and the skeeviest, she puts that SH sound on it, the skeeviest bar I've ever been to. I loved it. And it was so funny, all the little things that I'm excited, like you already said, excited to like get the other side of it and like the twisted versions maybe of the Abbott characters. Like I think there's a way in which like we got some of the like the characters were all fully themselves, but like maybe a little less edgy, some of the Always Sunny characters. And I kind of am so fascinated to see like what the Always Sunny lens on an Abbott character will look like.
So they call them the skeeviest bar, but I don't know anything about this bar. Dr. Amanda, please, for the people who are new here, who've never seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, me, the people, what is this show even about?
Ooh, such a good question. So, I mean, Always Sunny is it's been on the air for 20 years. The premise is that the gang, which is, Frank Reynolds, played by Danny DeVito. Glenn Howerton plays Dennis Reynolds. His twin sister, Dee Reynolds, is played by Caitlin Olsen. Rob McElhenney plays Mac, and Charlie Day plays Charlie Kelly. And they all grew up together, and they go into business opening this bar together, which is Patty's Pub. What is Patty's Pub like? It's sort of a business in name only. Like, I feel like the amount of times you see a patron who is not one of these 5 characters actually drinking at the bar it's like they sprinkle it in here and there, but this is in no way like a functioning business as much as it's a device for these 5 deranged sociopaths to hatch schemes and get into antics along the way. It's a little bit confusing. Like Frank is Dee and Dennis's dad, but not really. He's their stepfather. He starts off as like a successful businessman, but just like kind of becomes this deranged troll cretin person who sleeps in the same bed as Charlie. It's like very complicated.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of lore. There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. But the idea is like kind of that it's like a little bit like a Seinfeld-y premise where it's like they're terrible people and we just like watch them get into these crazy, crazy shenanigans week after week.
Oh yeah, it is Seinfeld to the max. Like Seinfeld cannot hang with the illicit behaviors, the illicit activities of the gang.
So let's talk about the shenanigans in this Abbott episode because we got a lot to discuss. And so, for one, the Abbott storyline here is very simple. You know, Abbott is falling apart because the district really doesn't show Abbott the love that it needs.
Classic.
And this is true. I mean, as a parent of the Philadelphia public school system, all of this rings 100% true.
Yes. And so we see Ava make a phone call to the golf course. She's like, all right, this golf course, they've been helping us out because, we might be taking a bribe here, but when we need stuff, they're helping us out to make sure that they keep their golf course development going. Sadly, though, they have joined a union. Boo.
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 We hate it.
We hate it.
Another thing we used to do in this country.
Right. But look, we love a good kickback here on the recap kickback. And so we're trying to get a jump on
take bribes too, okay?
True.
It's been done.
Look, by the end of this episode, we will see this union extorted because of some loggerhead strike eggs. So make no mistake, we'll be back in our previous actions soon enough throughout this episode. But at first, we need volunteers. We need volunteers to come in, and we get the gang from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So as y'all described, Frank, Mac, Dee, Dennis, and Charlie. And I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know these characters. So this is going to be my introduction into, like Amanda said, 20 years of lore. And I want to see how these people fit within the Abbott community. Because we know, like, a lot of people aren't going to get along with Janine because she's very shiny. She's very, like sunshine and rainbows. This doesn't, it's always sunny in Philadelphia, but it doesn't give off that vibe when these people show up. And so I was worried about that. But I was also really looking forward to what happens when they run into Melissa, what happens when they run into Ava, and I was not disappointed at all. So how about we just take each character from It's Always Sunny and just plop them into Abbott Elementary as we talk about this cast? Does this sound good for you, Gia?
Yep, it's perfect.
Okay, we will start with the one who had the least bit of content. Y'all have mentioned him already. There's this whole Vanderpump thing going on at Abbott, and we're getting filmed all the time, and Dennis is not necessarily okay with that. He says, nah, I'm good. I understand consent when it comes to the camera. I'm not signing any waivers. I want to be on the other side of the camera. And he shuts this down. Ariel, what did we miss from Dennis? Because he's not in this episode, essentially.
This is lore-wise, this is a little bit more of an Amanda question, but I think for sure, like I think it was Gia, right, who already said, like, I'm so fascinated to see what that means and like what we get behind the camera. Like we get towards the end of the episode, we get him like it in the scene where it's the graduation. He's kind of like texting on his phone, and then he goes into a back door. Like we get like the smallest little crumbs of something else going on. But as far as the camera part and the lore and why he doesn't want to be like seen, that's more of an Amanda question, I think.
If Abbott Elementary is Vanderpump, then Dennis is the Tom Sandoval of the So when Dennis says, I know a little bit about like cameras and consent, like this goes back way to early days of Sunny and kind of has built into more and more of a feature of Dennis's personality. He's like a little bit of a sexual predator type of guy, known for like filming his dates without their consent. He's like he's done quite a bit of that across multiple seasons. There's also this whole episode where Charlie and Mac's moms move in together, and Dennis like hidden camera records them, and they kind of make this reality show out of it. So Dennis is very, very interested in being the behind the camera auteur and like maybe even exploiting and manipulating his subjects without their full knowledge and express consent.
Okay, so
cool.
Yeah, look, yeah. Why are you in this school? Please get out of here.
It's scary. It's scary.
Maybe he has something to do with how I don't know how Frank ends up finding himself eating compost. Because Gia, I need more information about this man.
No. That's just Frank. Frank needs no help with that. Frank is someone that in the Chappell, while I'm explaining this, just look up the first episode title of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Just real quick. Just see what the very first episode title is of the show. But Frank was once a millionaire or just a very rich man. And I see Chappell finds what the first title of the show is. But
I have no chill. I should have muted. Go ahead, Gia.
And realize it, Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong, but like in the early seasons, it becomes very apparent, like as the seasons go through, that Frank is just more comfortable and happier being a garbage person. Like financially, he could move out of sharing an apartment with Charlie, like a very crappy apartment, but Frank is just happier this way. And who are we to question? I mean, we should question it, but that is just who Frank is.
He's a hobo trapped in a millionaire's bank account. Like that's the Frank Reynolds that we know and love. And I mean, eating garbage and like sleeping in a cage in like a piss pelt is like not the craziest thing we've seen Frank Reynolds do, not by a long shot.
Quite literally, one of the moments that just is permanently embedded in my brain is that, because I don't think I've ever laughed longer for an episode like of any show, is when Frank finds out that at this very fancy restaurant that he is not Dennis and Dee's biological father, and they brought them there because they thought he would not freak out during and he does, and it's a very big scene and it's so funny. I love this show so much. I'm so glad that we brought it back. Like, this is just, Frank is such a great character.
Now, Frank runs into Mr. Johnson in this episode, and
which is again, also
match made in heaven.
Match made in heaven. That's what I'm saying. Like, I was like, I know they're trying to say like the Abbott characters, they're just a little bit more wholesome. But all the Abbott characters got a little edge to them in a different way. And I think Mr. Johnson was destined to meet Frank. He calls Frank a trash human, and Frank calls Mr. Johnson the sheriff of trash. And I thought, look, is he wrong? Is a janitor not the sheriff of trash, Ariel? Isn't that by definition what he's doing?
I mean, he has like, it's like so fascinating, the different like spectrums of trash that these two characters inhabit. Like Mr. Johnson is like the emperor of trash in a way, right? And like Frank just like is trash. So like the way and like eats it and loves it and like sleeps in it. So like the way in which like there's the Venn diagram of them, but like Mr. Johnson would like never, he respects trash, but he would never eat it. Like he's like a human. So I just think it's so
not a giant raccoon,
funny.
But he
like,
met a famous raccoon last week.
To have Mr. Johnson call Frank trash, I think feels like the ultimate insult. Like, this is a man who deals in trash, and he's like, I know trash when I see it.
Right.
Did you catch the famous raccoon last spring joke? Like, what that is actually a reference to?
No, what is that a reference to? Educate us, Gia.
After the Oscars last year, they had been advertising that the episode that aired immediately after the Oscars was going to have one of their nominees in the episode. There was going to be like a celebrity appearance. That ended up being another Philadelphia native that I loved very dearly, Bradley Cooper, who voices the raccoon character in Guardians of the Galaxy. So that is the famous raccoon that he met last spring.
Yeah,
amazing.
and he's like, "Sir, you are no raccoon. I know a guy." Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
In this EW article that I read, it was like two of the producers of the shows were talking about like the process of crafting the crossover, and they actually had built a whole backstory for Frank and Mr. Johnson where they went to high school together and dated the same woman, and they had built out this whole thing. And I feel like there's so much potential there, but unfortunately, like with all of the different plot lines, it didn't fit. But release the tapes.
Yeah.
I want to see this.
No, I would watch a Tom and Jerry-esque show just around the exploits of Mr. Johnson and Frank.
Wow.
Just like that, like that type of relationship throughout, and just like
we have
through
been
the years
lobbying for this. Yeah, we've been lobbying for I'm saying we have been lobbying for Mr. Johnson to have his own show since episode 1 of Abbott Elementary, and now we found the premise. We found the premise. Bring in Frank. Gia, I feel like it might have been a missed opportunity for Frank and Ava to come into contact a little bit more, because it felt like they had like similar conspiracy theories kind of vibes going on. Because Frank's like, "Oh no, these batteries are food for the aliens and stuff like that, or for the robots." I was like, that Ava could get down with that, Gia.
I feel like if he had brought in Ava to fact check, she would have been absolutely like, "This makes perfect sense here. Like, listen to this man." But that's not. Ava's time was spent with Mac, with dealing with Mac the whole week, and Mac trying to get out of their community service hours early. And I actually am really glad that this is the duo we got, even though I'm dying to see Ava and Dennis interact. I think Mac is like the perfect guinea pig for Ava to appoint as the vice president of the school.
White vice president. That's important. He's the
white vice president. Yes. Her white vice president, very Kim Wolf of him, and he and basically have him do her bidding, amounting to at the very end having him blackmail a golf course in here. I think like this is right up Mac's alley here. I think he would make a great vice president, a great white vice president of Abbott Elementary if he wants a permanent gig.
Because you need one. You really need one. I remember Ariel's journey into Abbott Elementary and watching him be like, "Who is this Ava woman?" And then 30 seconds later be like, "I would die for this lady." Ariel.
Same.
Ariel. Mac just doesn't get Ava. He just doesn't understand her. Doing her bidding is what she requires from her employees. This is not going to get you out of work.
No, it's so fascinating too to like watch what could have been like from the commercials. Before I watched the episode, it seemed like there was going to be like some kind of romantic maybe spark between them, and like he was going to be like challenging her in that way, and it was more just like, "No, you're another person that I can use to get what I want." It's so funny. I think that it's nice that they like come together. I love the scene of him like steaming her clothes in the background. She's like, "To that, no, you don't can't stay in that room." I wanted to see Ava interacting with everybody, but like it's just so hard to manage. I would love to see, right? Like I hope and I pray that there are deleted scenes that maybe they can release at some point.
Yes.
And I would love to also hear just like all the different ideas for the character interactions that they had that they didn't even follow through on. Like it's also fascinating.
Yes.
Yeah, like Mac, I love this. There was a New York Times article about this episode, and they described each of the study characters, and they called Mac the dim, boyish hunk. So I think, I think that maybe at least 20 years ago he was. I think he still is, but
no, he still is.
Dennis is the alpha of the Always Sunny gang, and Ava is the alpha at Abbott Elementary, obviously. So I do think that they could have been a natural pairing. Dennis would not have written thank you notes. Like Dennis would not have just like capitulated and tried to kiss up to Ava. He would have had like a second level game going on. But like Mac is often the second in command who steps in when Dennis is not like leading the pack. And so this made sense. I think Mac is like more eager to please, a little bit more naive. Like he can hatch a scheme and he thinks his scheme is smart, but it's always like a little bit less smart than he thinks it is.
Couldn't be me.
I can't wait to see the Mac side of everything that's going on, because I think that it's a little bit too straightforward for Mac to just be trying to do a good job to get out of community service early. And also the Mac that I know cannot follow through on simple tasks as successfully as we've seen. So like, for example, when Mac goes to get the car detailed, there is something wrong with that car. Okay.
Well,
Like,
where did he go? What did he do with the car? Where
what
did he
did,
go?
what did he do in that time? Like, what
I need to
condition is
know
this
what
car in?
happened, like with that car detail, because
Yes.
there is no way he just got the car detailed and came back. There's no way. And I know we got cinnamon rolls, but like, how did he get those?
I
That's
would
a
not eat
crime.
those cinnamon rolls. I don't know what is good, what the rest of that story is.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I don't know these characters and Dennis is not on the episode. Essentially, I figured Mac is in charge, right? And so he's got his like it's him and the crew, and they're off doing their side missions. But his goal is to get them back to the bar. No matter what, we got to get out of here. This school, we can't be here doing this volunteer stuff. And so he's realized, okay, I'm gonna just pull all the strings of bribery that I have, right? Like everything that I can do. Is this good enough? Can we go? I washed your car. Let's get out of here. Like he has bigger fish to fry. But even when he says, "Oh yeah, I'll do anything," I was like, "Anything? What are you insinuating to Ava?" And Ava's like, "Oh, good, detail my car." And I'm thinking, "Don't give this criminal your car. What are you doing?" But then he comes back, and it's fine. And so I was thinking,
It's not fine. It's not.
It's
fine.
not fine. Oh yeah. See, that's the kind of energy I needed because I was wondering how does Ava find the one of all these criminals who can actually be competent? Like he was doing exactly what she asked him to do, so good to where she kind of was thinking about keeping him on until she found out about those thank you letters. Gia, we know Ava's not going for that. She keeps these teachers in line with fear and intimidation.
Nope. She's running this school like the Navy. Okay. Navy does not get thank you cards. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They run on insults here.
Insults,
Go
raccoon pelts, stating urine, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to talk about D, but you kind of have to, I don't know. So I want to leave. Yeah, let's do D because I'll leave the Charlie storyline because I have a lot of questions.
The Charlie storyline is by far my favorite for many reasons, but I'm very excited to talk about D and Janine first.
Yeah. So D starts off as, hey, look at this character who might be normalish. She does make a couple statements like, oh, is this a school? Is that what this is? Like she's a little snarky, but we don't get any bad behavior from D right off the bat. She's in Janine's class and they are bonding because they both went to Penn. Now, Janine is very excited about this. D kind of seems like, oh yeah, like she's dropping names and stuff like that. So it seems like she's at least been to the school. I wasn't concerned.
Yeah.
But then the D-ism starts to slip out a little bit, and she meets Gregory for the first time, and her eyes light up and like pop out of her head, and she is very into Gregory. And she even has to look over at the one white child in the school and be like, "Hey, what's his deal?"
When she said,
"Hey, white kid,"
I lost it. When she said "white kid," I had to pause. I had to pause.
Yeah. So, Dr. Amanda, is D acting like D in this episode? Or
did she actually go to Penn?
Oh,
right.
Look. These are my girls. We all went to Penn together. We were there. We were on Locust Walk. We went to Smokey Joe's. Okay. Look, it's not a state school. It's not Penn State. It's an Ivy League school. Not a lot of people know that. Yeah. So D and Dennis did canonically go to the University of
They're twins,
Pennsylvania.
Chappell.
They're
D
twins,
and Dennis.
and and the thing about D and Dennis is like they were raised rich. They went to good schools. They can present like a normal person for about 10 minutes. And then it immediately goes off the rails. Like Frank and Charlie, they kind of show you who they are right away. Like even Mac has trouble being normal, like despite what you see in this episode. But D and Dennis can like put off an initial good impression, but do not let that fool you. They are crazier and more unhinged than anybody in this show, in the universe. And I love D. I love D with all my heart. I think Caitlin Olsen is a comedic genius.
Yeah.
And nobody is pettier. Nobody is more selfish. Nobody is going to like, she loves to compete with a woman. She loves to get into a petty fight. She loves to make it all about her. This was a brilliant pairing. It's not necessarily the one that I saw coming. I sort of thought that like Ava and Dee would have a very funny clash potentially, but it makes so much sense to like pair her with Janine, who like Janine is not up for this kind of like petty feud and like she's not used to this game, and now she's in Dee's world, and Dee is going to pull out all the stops. She is going to flirt with a man while she is wearing a wig with a gray receding hairline and insane eyebrows like it's nobody's business. I thought that this was so much fun.
Yeah, so we saw through Janine's eyes, basically, Dee and her had a normal-ish interaction. She was so kind to her. Hey, everybody, look at your teacher. She's a genius. You should only be so lucky. But when we kind of compare notes with the other teachers, Barbara says, is she the one who came in my classroom asking if she could light up in here? And I said, wait, the same lady? So I knew there was more that meets the eye. But Ariel, oh my God, when she saw Gregory and she just decided, oh no, not only am I going to flirt with this man, but I'm going to get the students involved in it as well. They're going to do Valentine's Day cards in January.
Ariel, did you see those shoulders?
I thought about you, Amanda, when she mentioned the shoulders. It's so funny. I have seen of the little of, I love that we're like all along, we're all four of us are in a different space all on the spectrum of our
on the spectrum,
Always Sunny.
We're all on
the spectrum for sure. As far as like Always Sunny lore familiarity and like context, but like I have seen the episode where like where Dee is trying to like break up it's not a marriage, but it's like they're engaged, and she's like literally like just doing everything she can to get this man. So it's like this is her bread and butter. This is what she's best at, and you see it in this episode. It's like laid out so clear that like nothing would make her happier than to compete for this man, even though the man could not be any less interested in her, even like before she's even kind of like spoken like full sentences to him.
But she loves like, him, Ariel. I love
you.
I love you.
She said, do you love him? Because I
do. You know what they say about ambidextrous women, okay? You know, they're ready to fight for what they love.
Dee is my favorite. Dee is my favorite. I just want to say that. And like, I agreed with Amanda. Caitlin Olsen is just so good. Like, I'm watching her like mid ABC7 show called High Potential. What is it called? Yeah. And it's like she has so much potential. Mid potential, but I love you, Caitlin Olsen. You're so good, and she brings it every time.
Gia, she's prepared to go toe to toe with Janine, and
those are big toes, Gia.
Enormous feet, Gia.
Yep. Just two big-footed women fighting over
the American dream.
Fighting over Gregory Eddy, who is probably just terrified that any of this is even going on. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And I also love Dee. I love Dee and Dennis when they are just like peak siblings together. I just feel like it is like the perfect combo, and It's Always Sunny. And this was even better, especially because like Janine is not prepared for the level of crazy that she has welcomed into her classroom, because any other person hearing that Gregory is taken by the woman standing in front of you would be at least pretend to not be interested after that, right? Not Dee. This just only makes him want Gregory more. And the idea that she is going to have to fight for him and that he's not even that interested in her just makes the chase all the more fun. And that's the Dee I know. That's the Dee I remember.
Yeah. And Chappell, you should know that like in Always Sunny, like they're always making fun of Dee for having huge hands and huge feet, and they call her a bird. So like all of these things kind of just got like very like lightly sprinkled in, and that was very, very fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was smooth, because I didn't pick up that was a running joke, because it's kind of a running joke for Janine too. Honestly, dunking on Janine is a running joke, which brings me to my next question, Gia. I keep doing this, and maybe I've just come around to thinking, ultimately, maybe Ava should be on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, because why didn't we get Ava and Dee?
Yes.
Why did we not get Ava and Dee?
Because Ava's not gonna put up with that. Like you're telling me that if Dee was playing this act with Ava's man that they weren't going to fight in 2 seconds. Like, Ava's about that life. Janine is not about that life in the same way.
That's what we missed out. We missed out on. If you think D is petty, meet Ava. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, I would love on the Always Sunny episode for Ava to show up at Patty's pub and see what happens then. Because Ava is like, I mean, look, D talks a big game and she acts tough, but D is always in her flop era. She is always falling on her face. So if you had to stand up Ava to D, I have like my money on Ava every day of the week, and it would definitely be hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. Ava grew up poor as far as we know. So she is ready for, like she is about that life. She will scuffle when need be. So I think it's not a fair fight for D, and maybe that's kind of what D deserves. But also, like, this was the battle that we needed. And Janine was getting ready to stand up for her man, okay? Like, she's not the best at articulating it, but she is absolutely going to be like 10 toes down in her relationship here. So I do love that for her, especially with how comforting Gregory was afterwards. Gregory is not equipped to be handling 2 women fighting over him at once. Okay, I'm sorry. This is not
a lot
Gregory.
of women.
Yeah.
See, here's
a lot of foot.
A lot of foot.
Look, maybe I'm toxic because Gregory steps out and tells Janine, like, you have nothing to worry about. Like, obviously, I want to be with you. If I wanted to be with her, and I clearly don't want to be with this lady, like, you would know, but like, I want to be with you. I'm committed to you. And that's the type of thing that Janine needs to hear. He's no stranger to being sexually harassed by women, especially petty women, because we watched Ava sexually harass this man for seasons right in front of Janine. Ariel, you could look at the vision, okay? D coming in and being like, Gregory's my man. Ava being like, girl, you don't want to do this. And then them just going lower and lower and taking it to hell. Bring her on both shows. I'm saying she needs to be a recurring character at least.
Oh, I would love her to be a recurring character on It's Always Sunny.
Yeah. Who's to say she won't?
I mean, I'm sorry, Gregory, though. This is just the plight of a man with such a tight shoulder game. Like, your shoulders are that on point. The women are going to be flocking.
D loves the way that Gregory like stares at the camera and gives like the dead eyes when he's like annoyed about something. There's just something about it that just brings her to life.
Yeah, the more committed she heard about this relationship, the more she was in on it. Okay,
I love him.
I love him as crazy. Okay,
it was the best. It was the best part of the whole episode.
Do you love him? Because I love him.
Right, but also Gia, as 2 people who I'm talking about, we were the first. I don't care what nobody says. We were the first Janine and Gregory shippers in existence.
First,
episode 1.
Wow.
Okay,
listen, distinction.
Pioneers.
Did you think Janine was going to say it though? Because she hasn't said it that she loves.
No. These are normal people. These are normal-ish people in this relationship. Okay, There is no way Janine was going to drop the "I love you" that quick. I think Gregory is going to say it first. Actually,
ooh,
I know.
I know,
worry. And I think it's going to be an accident. I think like he means it, but he's going to say it and not realize that he said it's going to be their little awkward dance that they always do. That
they gotta be awkward. They have to.
They gotta be awkward. That's just how those 2 baby birds are. We love them.
When it came up between them and they were like saying the L word and Gregory shows up, I'm like, oh my God, is this how it becomes awkward? Like, we didn't say it, and I didn't, like the will they won't. We did the literally 3 entire seasons of will they won't they, and now we're like, we got to do the do they love they not they or whatever.
Yeah, that's the thing. She says it to Janine. She kind of like just throws the question at her, and Janine is caught off guard because 1, why does this woman care? Also, why is she saying that she loves him? But Janine starts stuttering, and I thought, I think this is where it starts, Ariel. This is where we get the like. Are we gonna say it eventually?
It is a really good way for the show, to like pick this thread up later, just Abbott without these characters, and it's like this happened.
We do have Valentine's Day coming up.
Yeah,
so I'm sure it will
very
be
special Valentine's episode.
It's almost a month away, so I'm just saying. I think that it could be a discussion that comes up in the future, but I did not expect it to come up during this episode either.
I mean, I think it's like a testament to what a really good job both creative teams did with like merging these stories together. Because if you just know D, you're like, this is exactly the kind of unhinged thing she does, and I've seen her do it 100 times before. But if you're watching like as an Abbott fan, you're like, oh my gosh, she's gonna go there, and Janine hasn't said that yet. So I feel like the show was so smart at like finding places where it works from both perspectives and it kind of melds together perfectly.
I love him.
Shut up, Ariel. Ariel should have made his headline. I love him. We're talking about how smart this episode is. So I guess we have to talk about Charlie.
Yes. I was so happy about this storyline.
So sweet.
I do not know this man. I've never seen this man before in my life. I've only seen, the commercials for Always Sunny. I've never seen an episode of Minute. I didn't know what to expect from this man. I did not know that he would be graduating as one of the new readers from Abbott Elementary.
Yeah.
Dr. Amanda.
I was not prepared for the step up graduation that they did for Charlie here. I scrumped when
positively scrumptious.
I scrumped. I scrumped when the graduation came up.
Yeah. I just don't know where to start. Not to admit, at the beginning of the next season of It's Always Sunny, will it now be canon that this man can read? Tell me how long this is 20.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
They play basketball against ghosts.
We still got a ways to go. Okay. Charlie Day portraying Charlie Kelly in this role. He is a national treasure. I love this man. I love this man from the depths of my soul with all of my heart. This is the character that I think fits the best in the Abbott universe because he's the only they can all be kind of like sympathetic and like sincere, but Charlie is like a sweetheart, even if he's extremely dumb and does criminal things. Like you usually see where he's coming from. You can empathize with him. He's almost a child, like not only intellectually, but also like emotionally. He's very sweet. And it's been like, it's funny, like the show sort of started with Charlie being the dumbest one. And then it's like the Homer Simpsonification of a character. Like as the seasons go on, they've just made him dumber and dumber and dumber. And at like some point, probably around like season 4 or 5, they revealed that like he can't read. And that's been like a running thing. So it's such a good plot to make this be something that Ms. Howard like discovers and like wants to help him with. And I thought like they did a pretty nice job of making it funny while also like treating the issue with like the seriousness. Like, they didn't diminish the issue or make fun of adult illiteracy, but like they played on, the funny things about the character of Charlie. So Charlie can now read at a kindergarten level. And maybe we'll see him like sounding out words in season 17 of Always Sunny. Like I look forward to that. I have to say one thing I thought was like very cute and funny is the way he's like trying to show off to Mac at the end of the episode. And he's like, I'll pick one of those sentences from the end of the book. Like that's a really hard one.
Like, sir, please get back to the story about the birds.
Because that's how they do it. They start with the easy sentences in the story, and then they work their way up to the really hard ones at the end.
So, as someone who did not know who this person was, I was very confused for a long time. Okay, because it starts off because we don't know he can't read, right? So he comes in and he's like helping with first of all, I'm sorry, I can't even skip to the classroom. Gia, what is ductwork? Why did he agree to it?
Charlie's experienced in it. He knows a lot about ductwork. This is the type of, from my experience with It's Always Sunny, this is the type of very random niche topics that Charlie is well versed in. So him saying he's experienced in ductwork, not duct work, is very on brand. Yeah. I can't off the tip of my tongue think of any duck specific storylines right now, but it's probably in there somewhere.
He's like an expert in bird law.
Go birds.
Yes.
Milk
steak is a often quoted joke in there as his favorite food.
He's a self-taught kind of person. So it's like he sort of follows his own threads and he has like oddball interests. Like, so it's not hard to imagine that Charlie would like be like, oh, like get it, like follow a duck one day and then like, you know, come up with something around that. So he's like, and he's, you know, and like, he's just kind of generally got a very vague, impressionistic idea of the world, almost like a child, like the way a child would hear ductwork and be like, there can't be two words that sound like that. They must be talking about a duck.
He comes in and Jacob, poor Jacob. Now, I don't know if Jacob needed this. They remove Charlie from Jacob very quickly. They're like, all right, let's get him to some more experienced educators.
Jacob was stressed.
Yeah. Because the duct work seemed like it was working out, right? Like that happened very quickly. But then Charlie decided, you know, with his infinite wisdom, that he should be teaching the class as well. And so he just looks over at this overhead projector and starts saying words that are not on the screen. And it happens so quickly.
Innovative where
took me down because I had to rewind it. I said, wait, there's no way that was up there. And he's really talking about how ironing is a myth. It doesn't work. And I'm like, wait.
Ironing is a myth, actually.
Jess Sterling also endorsed that ironing is a myth.
It's not a myth, but you just steam. It's much faster and like it's dangerous. But
just throw your clothes in the dryer. You're fine.
Yeah.
Look, he was making points. So again, I thought maybe he's just derailing the conversation because he wants to talk about fashion. But as he's pointing to the overhead more, Ariel, it's just like he sees letters and he just skips and guesses what everything else. You know, it's like, I know the first letter and that's it.
He's trying to finish. He's like I'm that thing of like, we're trying to finish each other's sandwiches? No, sentences. Like you got it wrong. It's like so close, but not at all. And you can just tell like he walks around the world and he has to like be able to fill in the blanks somehow, and he uses as much information as his brain and eyes can actually take in. And he's like, and it's to your point, Chappell, it's not like completely off. It's just not at all accurate.
You know?
He's the king of that, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's funny because now they realize at this point in the episode, they've realized that these people are criminals. But Abbott ain't turning around no criminals, especially if they need help with adult literacy.
Yeah.
Enter Barbara Howard. Yeah, for sure. Enter Barbara Howard, educator, as she introduces herself. Yes, it's me, Barbara Howard. I will be helping you today.
Educator. I've never felt more hopeful for anything in my entire life.
Yeah. Doc, you pointed out that, you know, Abbott doesn't really make light of the situation of Charlie not being able to read. They don't make fun of him. They more like point out the funny aspects of what he's doing and then turn it into almost like, I hate to say a teachable moment, but really Melissa steps up and says like, hey, maybe he's dyslexic, you know, like these things matter. Barbara talks about how difficult it is for adults to learn how to read.
Common,
Yeah. It's funny because I think only Abbott can do something like that, right? Like find the ridiculous moments in these kids getting educated and then also turn it into something that is very wholesome and makes you go, oh.
Yeah, I think it's a real strength of the show, and people who've listened to like Crying Laughing know like how much for me, like my soapbox issue is that like the traditional half-hour comedy is important and protect it at all costs, and you know, and it should be acknowledged in award shows and all of that. And I think that this is like a little bit of the magic of that, is like you can be watching this story that is very funny and very engaging and have this heartwarming moment where it makes a real point and people think about like, oh, you know, adult dyslexia and illiteracy and these are issues, and it's still funny. And you know, Always Sunny is not the show that is going to do that storyline about Charlie learning to read. Like that will not hit the same way. So I think that this is like, one of the things I'm so excited about this crossover potential. And I think that the Abbott episode really shows that, is it like uses the strength of both shows to tell different kinds of stories. And I think that like this is going to be the episode like that's going to be important in both of the show's lore, like the episode where Charlie learns to read. It's like we've had this character who for 16 seasons has been illiterate and it's been a punchline, but like this is a real issue and we can take this character that people love in Barbara Howard and like show that, you know, it's not too late for people to learn to read. Like it's and it's such an important thing. So I thought that that was a beautiful moment.
Also, shout out to the kid in Jacob's class who, after he sees that Charlie can't read, he's like, "This school, man."
Because why is he teaching the class? Him not reading is one thing, but this man is in front of the class, Gia. Why is this criminal teaching the class how to read and he can't even read?
I think the issue of him being a criminal is more of like a side issue at that point. This man has no idea what he's talking about. His felony status is a complete non-issue at this point. Remember they had the tire and iron guy teach them at one point when they were talking about strikes.
Yes.
Like that that was
Mr.
important.
Johnson teach classes. Yeah, like they do it all here. Yeah. Gia, eventually Charlie will graduate from being able to read.
His step up to the streets graduation.
I'm so sorry. It kills me that like after 5 days of Charlie being there, that like Barbara and Melissa and Jacob, like, well, obviously we are throwing him a graduation for this random man, this random criminal that has been volunteering at the
I love that.
at the school for 5 days, not even probably. It kills me that this was like, oh yes, we absolutely need to take class time away to hold this ceremony.
Make it an occasion. Put on a special outfit. Like we love to celebrate our accomplishments.
Yeah, show these kids that it's never too late and that we should celebrate like small wins. I mean, huge wins, but it's like a kind of like a midway point of a huge win. So it's fine. We'll take it.
Yeah.
I love the potential of like maybe now that Charlie can read, like what will happen in the Always Sunny universe. Like he'll be like once he can actually he's emboldened with this superpower. Yeah. Like all of this information comes flooding at him. What is
he's gonna be like? Oh my god, duct work! I understand.
Yeah, because he can read on a kindergarten level, but there are other
way
to
go. Yeah,
exactly.
He'll become so much more well versed in bird law now. He can actually read the bird law books.
Go birds!
Yeah.
Go birds.
Gia, before we wrap, we normally give out like a gold star to like the student of the week here. And, the kids are the heart of the show, Gia. But how is Charlie not the student of the week?
I was about to say that because Charlie was technically a student this week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He had a little graduation. He learned how to read. He got the support of the kindergarten class. It was great. Yes. I do think, is that other white kid named Charlie as well?
They're all named Charlie. You can call all the white kids.
His name. I don't even remember.
I think he have learned his name, but I think I can't remember. But the other white kid, I feel like is just for having to put up with just being known as white kid. I do think he could also be a contender for student of the week, but I think Charlie is miles ahead of him and the other kids at this point.
Yes. Also, we have to highlight one of our rising characters as well, who's been in the background a little bit lately. Gia, we like Daya. Why is she here?
Is she the one that says I'm drowning at the beginning of the episode?
Wait, so she's the one that Dennis hits on and no, that's somebody else. Because I was like, who are these people?
That teacher was like a one-time character before in an episode where Janine was sick. She kind of hates Janine and is a little bit of a gossip diva. We love her. Not as much as Janine, though, obviously. But Daya is slowly becoming a reoccurring character. That is Ava's secretary. So when you see her like calling for somebody to be like answering her phone or anything like that, that's Daya. We love Daya. She has been suffering more than most characters in this show, and still it comes to work every day. And it still has this like diva queen aura about her. So we're just obsessed.
Yes. And the one pairing we really didn't address in this episode is Ava and Charlie. They don't really ever see, like, that doesn't seem like that's going to be a theme. She comes in, she sees that he's struggling with reading, but Ava's too savvy to even care. She sees this grown man and she's like, that's under my radar. What she hears is a story about an endangered bird, and this information about the Shrike is what will lead her to go and take Mac, and they will extort this golf course again so that they could get a jumbotron or a scoreboard, whichever, for Abbott Elementary. And I love that so much because it's so true to form for Abbott, for Ava to kind of like, there's shenanigans going on, but she's got her own side mission, because from episode 1, people were questioning, is Ava even fit to do anything with this school? And she will go above and beyond and find a way to make sure these kids have what they need, even if it means teaming up with some criminals from the other side of town. Crazy.
She's an educator. Okay?
It's that kind of out of the box thinking that you need to like, I said, I'm a parent of the Philadelphia public school system. The system does not work. So you need to work outside of the system if you want to get things done. And Ava, more than anything, understands that fact. And I applaud the ingenuity.
Yeah.
I don't have kids, but if I did and they went to a school system, I would like to know that my children's teachers are breaking a few laws, maybe blackmailing a few corporations so that my children have the supplies that they need through the day, that they are getting the education they deserve.
Yeah, as we wrap up, we learned that Gregory is gay and Mac has turned the school around single-handedly. Frank got to work to land, eat some fiber, and Charlie can read. So all of this means that community service is great and crime is worth it.
Crime is worth it.
I love it. My gold star.
Children here now.
Yeah.
My gold star goes to D for recognizing that Gregory is gay. And
that can sometimes happen in the short one.
Being an ally, she's such an ally in that moment. She sees him for who she is. This was hilarious. I love him, in quotes, forever.
Can we also just acknowledge Frank stealing Mr. Johnson's car battery for oil?
Which I'm sure will come back into play.
It's got to. Mr. Johnson is not going to take this lying down, but we got to come back together, y'all, to talk about the premiere of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia when these Abbott people make their way onto that other show. Dr. Amanda,
are you ready for that, Chappell? Are you ready to jump into the Always Sunny universe and go to Patty's Pub in South Philadelphia and experience that Caucasian cultural exchange that is Always Sunny?
I just need Melissa to hold my hand and take me in there. I feel like I'll be safe if she's there. But how about Gia and I come and join y'all?
Yes, at the skeeviest podcast around, crying, laughing. It'd be so much fun.
I cannot wait. Thank you all so much for joining me and Gia here as we talk about these crazy kids and these shenanigans and these criminals all on this Abbott Elementary mid-season premiere. Dr. Amanda, Ariel, y'all are great. Tell everybody what y'all are working on, where they can find you, what's going on crying, laughing, throwing
crafting,
up.
Laughing.
Crafting, laughing, throwing up. Ariel, what y'all got going on?
We have so much. We're finishing 6 Feet Under. We're literally days away from covering the series finale of 6 Feet Under, which is like a huge emotional deal. And we're going to be announcing what we're covering next. We have a lot of bonus coverage coming up. We'll be covering maybe like a new medical show that just came out, possibly. And we'll obviously, like we've already said, we will and are going to be so happy to cover the other side of this crossover and whatever, how many months that happens. Follow the pod, Cry Laugh Pod on social media. Amanda, anything else? What did I miss?
I think you got it all, Ariel. Yeah.
I did it for you.
It's a big time for us, like finishing 6 Feet Under, the finale, 5 whole seasons. It's emotional. It's a great time though to start following the podcast and be a part of what we have going on next.
Yeah, I'm over there too, talking about Grey's Anatomy with Ariel, and I'm definitely going to try to dive into this new hospital show. And so, check it out. Go and subscribe to Cry Laugh. Is it? How do you get to it?
You can find crying, laughing, and you can search in your podcatcher of choice, and you can find us everywhere on the internet. Crying, Laughing Pod.
There you go. And Gia, what about you? What else you got going on? Because we talked about How to Ruin Christmas again.
We did, and it was so fun. I did, Chappelle, I did think about it a little more. I think the second season may be my favorite as well, like a more well-versed. Like it just there's one more episode. It's good. It's amazing. But yeah, so Chappelle and I talked about How to Ruin Christmas season 2, which is called How to Ruin Christmas the Funeral. It is so good. I cannot wait to talk about the final season of the show as well, but it has been a great time. So when that is out, please make sure that you give it a listen and give the show a try as well, because it is so good. But that is kind of a side plot here. And we'll have some other stuff coming out soon. I'm trying to think about what I'm doing right now. Oh yeah. I am in the Survivor off season, but I am working on more articles for Inside Survivor's 50 for 50. So definitely take a look at that. And I recently was a guest on the Tradar podcast with David Bloomberg. So take a listen to that too. We just talked about the premiere episode. So I made some predictions that may not have been right, but that's okay. That's fine. That's fine. And I'm so excited to get into more reality TV soon. So I'm very excited, and we'll probably have some more projects coming up. So stay tuned.
Yep. Thank you so much. And here we got me and Mari every week talking about whatever pops up in Black entertainment news. Tyrone joined me to talk about The Madness. That podcast should be up soon. G, of course, mentioned How to Ruin Christmas, the funeral, and we got How to Ruin Christmas, the baby shower coming soon as well. We're coming up on the year anniversary of Recap Kickback. February marks Black History Month, and when history was made, I got my own shit. And so check that out. Stay tuned and let us know what you want us to do to commemorate this whole year and Recap Kickback. If you're just an Abbott listener, go check out everything else we got going on. It's so much fun here. But yeah, for the entire panel, for Dr. Amanda, Ariel, Gia, and myself, please check us out when we reconvene. Check out Cry Laugh and Throw Up. And then join us next time here on Abbott Elementary, a recap kickback, because class is over. Peace. I've been trapped behind Maria. Isolated like it's North Korea. Smaller city with some bigger dreams. The wall is cracked, I'm looking in between it. The world is yours, but man, I gotta see it. They say it's hard, but man, I gotta see it. The air I'm breathing can't feel my chest. Wait on life, I wanna hold my breath. I'ma get in my goddamn self.